The views and opinions expressed on Unlock Your Wealth Radio are those of the host, guests, and callers only and are not necessarily the views of Unlock Your Wealth Radio, Heather Wagenhals, or Success Publishing International.
Worried about retirement? Want to travel the world or just be around to watch your kids grow up, but you can't because you're drowning in debt? Now you can! With Heather Wagenhals and the Keys to Riches powered by Unlock Your Wealth Radio. Heather will show you how to stop chasing your wallet, eliminate debt, lose financial stress, and live the life of your dreams. If you truly ever wanted to have more, do more, be and give back more, now's your chance. Listen weekly to hear what others are doing to manage their money better with these proven strategies for building wealth with the Keys to Riches financial philosophy. Now, here's your host, Heather Wagenhals.
Gotta love that metronome. The Keys to Riches, powered by Unlock Your Wealth Radio, is sponsored in part by Audible.com. Get a free audiobook download at heathersfreeaudiobook.com and click on the link to over 150,000 titles to choose from for your iPhone, Android, Kindle, or MP3 player. Choose my new book, Yes You Can 2.0, today.
Nice.
How's that? Yeah. Get it for free. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for stopping by. We're so glad to have you. I'm Heather Wagenhals, flanked by my producer extraordinaire and the maestro of moolah, Michael Terry.
Hey.
And we are going to help you get your money mind right on today's show with the following great features. First off, what's our key?
Practicing the 3 R's.
PT3Rs. This means we're at number 12.
And everybody knows what those 3 R's are, or we're going to tell them about it?
Well, we can tell them what it's not.
Yeah.
It's not reading, writing, arithmetic.
Correct.
Which is so funny because that's really a W.
Yeah.
But anyway, so we had that. We have a great moolah word of the day, a phrase I'm pretty stoked about, as a matter of fact.
What might that be?
I just flipped past it. Now what the heck? Oh, here we go. Perfect competition will be our moolah word. And we have one of my favorite Peter Drucker quotes that I have augmented and embellished, if you will, for this key. And so that's going to be our moneyism. And it's not really a money drama in a negative sense, but our moneyism is going to be based off of my embellishment of a Peter Drucker quote, because I think it's really relevant to the success of the Keys to Riches as a financial philosophy. Most goal achievement strategies are not that. I mean, that's why we're so different here at the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation, is that we have within the Keys to Riches financial philosophy a specific goal achievement strategy. Anybody can plan. Anybody can sit down and make up a bunch of goals. Not everybody can see it through to fruition. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is we get the idea, but then we don't have our third key, which is dreams with deadlines. Because without a plan and a timeline to accomplish it in, a dream is just a dream.
Got to have that timeline, right?
Yes, you have to have the timeline, but you have to have other factors. And that's why our dreams with deadlines key and our entire goal achievement strategy works, because it's not a goal-setting strategy. Everybody has goal-setting strategies, but you can set them all you want. If you don't have a way to systematically take action to achieve your goals, then you're just spinning your wheels. Mm-hmm. You know, I like to, in a sarcastic way, I like when I hear people say, oh, well, someday I'll buy a house, someday I'll retire, someday I'll get rich.
Yeah.
But someday, the last I checked, is not the 8th day of the week.
Yeah.
There is only 7 days in the week, and someday ain't one of them.
And I've been guilty of saying that, I'm sure.
Yes, and the problem with someday is that
it never comes.
Yeah, it's just like tomorrow.
Yeah.
We talk about languaging the brain's got to take action now.
Yeah, even if you make a lofty goal, I mean, set it off in the distance, you have to have a deadline, some kind of
Right.
deadline.
And the reason why you have to have that is today's key.
Yeah.
Because we were going to measure how close to or far away from we are from our dreams with deadlines. Because this is, and the other R's in the 3 R's, practicing those, is what's critical. Because without all of the R's, we don't get where we want to go. And you'll see that'll play out as we get into this week's key. But first, how about we do our moolah word of the day? So last week we were talking about market structures, and I mentioned in the oligarchy or oligopoly, monopoly, I mentioned perfect competition as a market. And a perfect competition as a structure. So a perfect competition is a market in which no participant can influence prices. It's characterized by a free flow of information, 0 barriers to entry, and a large number of buyers and sellers negotiating freely in an open market.
And what's that again?
Perfect competition.
Perfect competition.
Which is why it was good it wasn't part of last week's key, because we were about forgetting the perfection principle. So we couldn't have this as last week's wheel over to the day, because people have been going, what? Wait a minute, you just said not to be perfect. Well,
How would you use that in a sentence?
perfect competition?
Yeah.
Well, you wouldn't necessarily if you were to use it in a sentence, you would be describing the ideal marketplace.
Mm-hmm.
If you are an inventor, a producer, or a consumer, because it doesn't matter whether you're making things or you're buying things, consuming products or products or services, or whether you're making products or services. Everybody wins in that situation, because nobody, the market will bear the best price for all parties. And it's not, sellers aren't going to have a corner on the marketplace and be able to overcharge and get one up on the buyers. And the buyers won't have such extreme buying power that they'll cripple the sellers having to sell at less than what their stuff is worth. So it's more of an ideal.
Yeah, it's a vacuum maybe.
Well, no, I wouldn't say it's a vacuum, because it's free flowing. Mm-hmm. So in a vacuum, nothing would exist. So what does exist is the ability to name your price for audio production, composition, whatever it is, and somebody comes along and says, I'll pay that price. And they're not saying, well, this other guy said, yeah. Well, but you both mutually agree. You may haggle, but what's right for you and what's right for the buyer matches. Willing buyer, willing seller, negotiating freely in an open market.
Nice.
It's not like you're the only guy in town to go to, if your price is too high. If I can't pay your price for your quality, I can go seek out a lower quality elsewhere if it's about price. Mm-hmm. But if somebody recognizes your value and is willing to pay for your value and your time and expertise, then willing buyer, willing seller, negotiating freely in an open market.
Perfect competition.
Yes. Yeah. So there you go. So that's our moolah word of the day. So let's circle back to the key, shall we?
Practicing those 3 R's.
Yes. So for those of you who are joining us for the first time, we are so glad to have you. Welcome to the show. Thanks for stopping by. The Keys to Riches is a baker's dozen of financial concepts that teach you how to think like the rich and be in control of your own money. It's a financial philosophy that also gives you specific techniques to create or fix your credit, eliminate debt, save and invest, all while transforming your current financial habits into healthy money management skills. And here on the show, we do that one key at a time, 1 week at a time. So this key functions with some of our other keys. So this is the final piece of the puzzle from our key 4, knowledge is power, not knowing is powerful. Because you remember what we did in key 4? We laid out the 3-5 financial plan for 3 questions, 5 areas of concern.
Yep.
So this is our last question that we're answering. What's the difference?
Aha.
Pretty sneaky how I did that, huh?
Yeah.
Got it in just in time because there's only one more key left. So we're wrapping up our 3-5 financial plan with this key. And so for those of you who aren't familiar with the others, haven't been with us the whole season, we have 3 questions that we need to ask ourselves to be successful at money management. Everything else is just drilling down on the same basic 3 questions. But there's 3 important questions, and there's 5 areas of concern to address. So let's revisit key 4. You're looking like, oh my God, 5? I got to remember 3 and 5. What did I forget?
Well, I think I remember the 3 questions.
Okay, great. So it's quiz time. What are they?
Well, I sort of needed you to start it off.
Give you some runway?
It's like you remember the lyrics to a song, I can't tell you how many times I've been on a gig and I got to sing a song and I don't know the first line. But once I know the first line, boom, I get the whole song.
Oh my
Pretty
gosh.
cool, huh?
So you probably didn't do well on Name That Tune? Or was one note enough? I can name that tune in one note.
Yeah, I never actually never
watched that TV show. It was a game show. I loved it. I was good at that. That's like going way back. So, all right. It is.
Give me the first one. Oh, I know they all start with W.
Where am I?
Where am I? Where am I going?
Where am I going?
What's the
ding, 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 ding. Okay.
I think a couple of weeks ago I said, and how do we get there? By a car, boat, plane, come on.
Well, it depends on how fast transportation you have and how much money you already have to get there.
What's the difference?
So where am I is kind of like our assessment of where we are. It's establishing your point on a map. What is your GPS location right now?
Financially.
Yes. It's your financial GPS point.
Right.
So where am I? And why do we need this? Because if we don't know where we are, how are we going to create the plan to get where we want to go? Because we could know where we want to go. Like, who doesn't want to be rich? Who doesn't want to be famous? Who doesn't want to be a rock star? Like, whatever. Like, pick a target.
Yeah.
So it's not like there's not anybody that wants to do those things, okay? Right. So it's not a lack of where am I going.
We have a starting point, though.
Yes, because having an end point is great. Because there are some people that wander around in a fog, and they still, at 40, at 50, at 60, don't know where they want to go.
Yeah.
Don't know what they want to do.
Yep.
And they've just spent an entire lifetime meandering.
Very sad.
And what does the Cheshire Cat say in Alice in Wonderland? If you don't know where you're going, any road will get you there. So as we think in those terms, it's important or critical that we have where am I going? But again, we can't create a plan to get there if we don't know where we're starting. So where am I is a financial snapshot of where we are. But we do our assessment a little bit different. So you want to refer to the show from Key 2 of Take Action, Make Assessment, because we do an organic assessment. Because we're not just looking for the money, because that would make it too easy. And if you think about it, there are tons of financial gurus out there. And why are they? Because most of them don't make sense. Because if it was all about the money, we would only need one person that was smarter than everybody else to fix it. Yeah. So it's clearly not about that. We already know to spend less and save more, but we don't. And why is that? It's because we never looked at our money from a biological perspective. And that's why our show is so different.
Yeah.
So we're going to do an organic assessment in order to create that. So we did that starting in Key 2. We finished our organic assessment, in Key 7 when we broke the budget and created a healthy savings and spending plan instead. So that was able to answer that first where am I? And it took a while because we weren't, again, just looking for the money, because we had to look for what was motivating the money and the precipitating factors, those factors that catapulted us into the inappropriate decisions, those financial and emotional landmines. And so once we were able to do that, we were able to create the plan to go forward. So once we create the plan to go forward and we take action every day toward that plan, life happens to us, around us, in spite of us. It is what it is. You know, so life is constantly changing and moving forward, and sometimes we move with it, and sometimes we move against it, and sometimes we get paralyzed and can't move at all. It happens by pretending it doesn't exist, by pretending or saying I'm bigger than this, when sometimes we aren't.
Yeah.
It's okay. That's what last week's key was. Forget the perfection principle. It's not about the perfection of the process. It's about the progress of the process. So in this key, what we're doing is we're answering that third question is what's the difference? Because a goal-setting strategy is not a goal achievement strategy unless you have accountability worked in. And the accountability isn't just what typical accountability is, all right, which would be a comparison of the numbers. So we're not just doing that when we do this third question in our 3-5 financial plan, because what made our mistakes wasn't money, if we have any. So this is going to be our opportunity for evaluation, and it's also an opportunity for accountability. And we have to remember that third R is specific, because we have to have this in place in order for the goal achievement strategy to function. And it's because this whole biology-based money management thing, we have to recommit because of why? Because the brain is about now. Seeking pleasure, avoiding pain in this moment. Delayed gratification is not very comprehensible to a reactionary way of looking at our lives and living our lives. And so we must constantly recommit. We have to constantly remind ourselves of what that end game is and keep that active in our mind. And we have to convince the curmudgeon that the things that he's trying to keep us safe from, because it seems uncomfortable. It's like that whole saying, you know, that the what's the thing about opportunity is often missed because it comes in dressed in work in overalls, and it's disguised as work.
Yeah.
You know, so it's that whole thing. So we have to recommit. So and use imagery in our biology to create an emotional state and a physiological state that keeps us engaged with our goals. Because, like, we can't even focus on what's going to happen 20 minutes from now, let alone 20 years from now. Mm-hmm. So you are going to need a few things before we can begin this review, revise, and recommit. So for those of you who have been with us the entire season, you need to go collect these items first. So what you need to do is you need to get your Where Am I? And your Where Am I is your balance sheet that you created from Key 7. All right? This is what I have. This is what I owe. This is what the difference is. All right? Then we also, and you should have, by this key, you'll have had completed a 30-day savings and spending tracker. So you'll want to get that also. You also want to get your dreams with deadlines, goal achievement strategy out. Okay? And we're going to do this in a particular process, but we're not going to do any math up front. And there's a reason for it, because because the mind is so impressionable. We've got to set our mind up first so we don't justify or excuse bad behavior if and when it occurred, because that's part of this process. So the first thing we're going to do after we gather all these documents is we're going to pull out, or we're going to find a time in our day or our life, and it's got to be where you have minimal stress, where you can be focused and relaxed at the same time and undisturbed for this first time you do this, practicing the 3 R's, because you've got to get the process right. And then each successive time it'll go so fast. you'll have it down by within a year, because you'll only do it 4 times. You'll have it done within a year. You'll be like unbelievable at this. And so people think it's going to take me a year, but it's really only 4 tries. But you need to have all this time pass in between. So first thing, after you have gathered all your documents, found a great time, set an appointment with yourself if you have to make it happen. All right, prioritize it and pencil it in. Actually, put it in ink. Don't just pencil it in. This is an immovable appointment. If you've done our Unlock Your Wealth, if you've done our Unlock Your Wealth Time Mastery course, you need to put it as a fixed appointment, not a flexible one. And then you have to sit down and you're going to review your dreams with deadlines first before looking at any other documents. Review that. You are listening to The Keys to Riches, powered by Unlock Your Wealth Radio. This segment of today's show is sponsored in part by KeepMyID.org, the only service that actually prevents identity theft. All others are just monitoring services. Put your credit on lockdown with their special offer for Keys to Riches radio listeners. Visit keystoriches.com/keepmyid to enroll and protect your financial future right now. Remember to use promo code WAGS. So after you review your dreams with deadlines, you want to try to capture the mood and the mindset you had when you were writing those. Focus on what was I trying to accomplish? Because if you remember, once we did our SMART goal planning with our, visualize, imagine, picture, pretend techniques, and we did our plan backwards, you knew exactly what you needed to do every day to accomplish your goals in the future, as well as meet your daily and monthly and quarterly obligations. So you have to focus on what was the big picture first before we drill down, because we have to set it up in our mind, that positive vibe we were chasing. Because remember, financial security is an abstract concept. It's subjective. It means something different to each one of us. Okay? So we had to memorialize what ours was in detail in our goal achievement strategy. So we want to reread each and every goal and take a moment and think about what that goal was, why you set it, and what it means to you when you're going to accomplish it. Start getting those juices flowing, that positive energy and emotion about when you set that goal. Get that focused on, because we want to set ourselves up for success for this, practicing the 3 R's. Then we're going to get out our practicing the 3 R's worksheets, and we have our strategy, and it's our what's the difference strategy. So there's a couple of different documents that you'll have. So you're going to take your 30-day savings and spending plan, and you're going to add those up. You'll have had 3 of them when you do the quarterly. So you should have 3 sets of monthly savings and spending trackers complete. And now you're going to take the what's the difference and determine what our cash flow is. Okay, we're going to do another where am I? And we're going to take a new snapshot, because that was at that moment in time 3 months ago when we did it. So now we're going to take a new snapshot. So we're going to see our balance sheet, which is our what we have, what we own, what's the difference. And now that we've set our mind up for success, focusing on our goals, we're going to look at these numbers and say, are these numbers different from the last time I did these numbers? Yes or no? Are they different in the direction they're supposed to be? Yes or no? All right. So did I move closer to or further away from my goals is the question that we're answering right now. Okay. So if our assets went up and our liabilities went down on our balance sheet, we moved closer. What we need to do is, did we move closer as we planned? Okay. So if we planned to have saved $1,000 or $100 or whatever the goal was, let's just pick a goal. Did we save $100? And it's either yes or no. There's no excuses, because $100 is not 99 or 101. Right. So if we fell short, how short? Were we 97?
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Yeah.
Were we over? Were we at 106? Okay. Were we at 47 when we were supposed to be 100? These are the tough questions we got to ask ourselves.
Right.
So we've got to ask ourselves these questions because when we find out we've severely deviated from the past, we have to identify, this is our review phase, what went wrong. Was it a momentary hiccup, lapse in good judgment, or have we been materially altered from our game by one of the things that we talked about in Hope for the Best, Plan for the Worst? Some sort of a catastrophic event that has beset us. Is that why we're off of our goals? You know, did we get hurt and can't work? Did we lose our job? You know, did we have the death of an income-producing spouse? Did we have to take on the care of an indigent parent or family member? Things like this. You know, is your brother-in-law still sleeping on your sofa 6 months later and your grocery bill went up threefold? I mean, it's simple things like that.
Like that happens, yeah.
It does. It knocks you off your game. You know, so these are things that we have to ask. So in revise, our second R, now that we have this information from our review, are there things that, whether planned or unplanned, that have materially altered our goals, or that have materially altered our ability to achieve our goals, that first we have to identify, are these goals still worthwhile? If they are, then maybe we need to change our approach. Maybe push back a timeline. Give us more time to accomplish it. Maybe, you know, that goal isn't worth chasing anymore. If you're taking on the care of an an indigent parent, or you have a special needs child that all of a sudden, you know, you found out your kid has autism or something, maybe it's not so important that you get that brand new sports car.
Right.
Maybe the goal of the Mustang isn't so important in the grand scheme of things. You can eliminate goals, not because they're not achievable, but because your desire for them changes, your priorities change, your values change. But do not ever change a goal just because it doesn't look achievable. Oh, I got that Confucius quote. That's perfect for right now. So this is what I thought was great. So in this moment, what we need to think, where did he go? Where did it go? Confucius. When it is obvious that the goals cannot be reached, don't adjust the goals, adjust the action steps.
Yeah, that's nice.
That's so way powerful. Yeah. But that leads us, since we're talking quotes, I will leave you with this quote. So Peter Drucker said, what gets measured gets managed. And the whole point of practicing the 3 R's is that not just by managing it, what gets managed, I say, gets mastered. And when you do this review, revise, and recommit, this is the keys to your success. To learn more about the third R in the recommit segment, I invite you to do our Dreams with Deadlines key over again. And this is just about satiating our goals with the most visualization we possibly can to make them still achievable, get them back in the forefront of our mind, because life happens to us and we make mountains out of molehills every day, and we lose sight of our perspective, you know, for what's right in front of us instead of, you know, the horizon that we're chasing. Visit keys-to-riches.com for the key statement, key affirmation, and key action item. And for more in-depth interviews with money experts, strategies, and members-only tools to fix your credit, get out of debt, and have more money and happiness, do what other savvy listeners have, and visit our sister show at unlockyourwealthradio.com, where you also go to get your money mind right so your wealth and happiness will follow. For the Keys to Riches, powered by Unlock Your Wealth Radio and the Maestro of Moolah, Michael Terry, I'm Heather Wagenhals. Now go out and unlock your wealth today.
UnlockYourWealthRadio.com is produced by Heather Wagenhals and the Unlock Your Wealth Foundation. UnlockYourWealthRadio.com and its affiliates are copyrighted 2016 with all rights reserved. For more information on the Keys to Riches Financial Wellness Series, please visit our website at www.unlockyourwealth.com.